On your life.
Happy Saturday! Welcome to Last Call here on WagerTalk. I'm the prop queen, Ariel Epstein, filling in for Kelly in Vegas all summer long, including holiday weekends. You're welcome, Kelly in Vegas. We had a great 4th of July yesterday. It was beautiful in New York. According to Kelly, it was horrible in Florida, so that's hilarious. Joey Chestnut goes under his 70.5 total hot dogs eaten. The public prevailed. Shout out to the pub. Today, we've got a loaded show. Gianni the Greek going to come on and talk to us about everything you need to know behind the counter. We do have football in July. Yeah, we are talking the CFL, and Andrew McInnis from Canada going to answer all your questions. Teddy Covers, he's promoting actually the American NFL, where we're going to talk all things NFL win totals, get you started, because it's kind of like the start of football season when the 4th of July is over. It's time to crunch those numbers and go look at those NFL futures. Last, certainly not least, we've got Major League Baseball questions with Steve Merril. I've got a few MLB plays myself. Don't forget to, if you like to bet these niche markets, Premier Lacrosse All-Star Game is starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got plays for that. Dan and I, Kelly, we are all on the same page for how to play it if you want some 1 p.m. action. I know there's a lot of day baseball. So let's start with the one, the only, the Vegas runner, the Gianni the Greek, live from Las Vegas, I think. We never know if he's traveling or not. Yeah, he's in Vegas wearing another Phillies hat. He changes colors of Phillies hats every week. What's up, Gianni?
All right. I just bet, if you could believe this, 3 NBA Summer League games as you were talking. I swear to you, I just sent 3 to subscribers. I'll give one out here. I'll give 2 of them. I'll give 2 out of 3.
When does is this starting now? Today?
I believe so. It's got to be starting today. So here, I'm going to give you 2 out of the 3 that I sent subscribers, because Ariel's looking nice and happy, ready to go, make you guys some money today. So I'm going to give you 2 out of the 3. I'm going to give you 554 Golden State plus 5.5. They're good at plus 5. Golden State plus 5 or better. 555 Memphis minus 2 or better. We laid 1.5 and we laid minus 2. You don't want to go above 2. You're better off laying the minus 120 to buy a half a point. If it goes to 2.5, it's worth about 12 cents. You only got to pay 10 cents. So it's worth the buy at 2.5. I'll just give all 3. Why not? Subscribers already got them. They already bet them. They got the best numbers. Hopefully it's still available for you guys as well. And finally, 522 Miami minus 5. So you just got 3 premium plays that I just sent to subscribers minutes ago. You got Golden State Warriors plus 5.5. You got Memphis minus the 2. And you got Miami minus the 5. Golden State, Memphis, and Miami. That was worth the price of admission alone. You could just close the show off now. You're good. You're good.
That's hilarious. I didn't even realize that we were starting yet. And of course, I'm on the New Jersey book right now. I don't even see anything on FanDuel. Maybe DraftKings will have it. I'll have to go scoping around for some of those plays. But Summer League is a real deal. I know so many people that love to get action down on it, just like Gianni does on spring training. Like, only the best of the best get it down on this crazy slates of games. Gianni, anything that you see in Major League Baseball today?
All right, here's what we got in baseball. Let me set you up. Yesterday. 5 minutes before the games before first pitch for 3 series. We bet 3 series. I couldn't even release these to subscribers because the cutoff at WagerTalk, we do it 10 minutes with my guys, because a lot of my stuff is time sensitive. I get a lot of good late information, and I got to give them at least that 10-minute cutoff. I wish we had a 5-minute cutoff. They'd probably get even more stuff, because a lot of the biggest stuff comes very, very late. Bettors would be surprised how late some of the biggest positions come. I mean, I've seen some of the biggest bets in MMA happen when both guys are in the cage, and even some of the books have taken down the number. But again, you have to have a cutoff, because bettors got to be able to get the play and fire. And we bet 3 series yesterday. All 3 of them are dogs. We bet Athletics in their series at plus 150. We bet the White Sox in their series at plus 105. And we bet Tampa Bay in their series at plus 120. Now, Athletics won last night. White Sox won last night. So both of those dogs are up 1-0 in their series. So far, so good. We got to win 1 out of the next 2 games. Tampa is down 1. So Tampa's got to win the next 2 games. They got to win today and tomorrow for that series bet to win. For Athletics and the White Sox, we just got to win 1 out of the next 2 games for those series bet to win. So just keep that in mind as you're handicapping today's baseball and tomorrow's baseball, that Athletics, White Sox, and Tampa were all bet to win their 3-game series this weekend. Now, some of the bets that came in today in Major League Baseball already: 902 Cubs up to -130, 910 Toronto good to -180, 912 Cleveland +120. Everybody's on Detroit. Sharps are on Cleveland there. 913 Atlanta -130, 929 Pittsburgh +160, and 2 totals for you. Over 8.5 up to -130, so they don't have to go over 9. That's Detroit, Cleveland. And the same thing, Cincinnati, Philly. Over 8.5 good to -130, rather than having to go over 9, even at a an -105 price. Over 8.5 Cincinnati, Philly. So that's Cubs, Toronto, Cleveland, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh. And then over Cincinnati, over in Detroit, both at 8.5. You got the series bets. You got NBA Summer League. You are ready to make some money on this beautiful Saturday morning.
I love the over in the Cincinnati game because ever since Nick Lodolo screwed me over on 2 different strikeout props to start my season, I will fade Nick Lodolo at
Every
all
time.
times. So over in the Cincinnati game because Nick Lodolo, whatever, give up
Let's
all the
do it.
runs in the world.
Let's
If you
do
guys
it.
also have questions in the chat, make sure to ask them because
don't be
we will
shy.
definitely, we love the interaction. Make sure to like, subscribe, everything on WagerTalk here on Last Call, and make sure to comment because we are always answering your questions. Yanni, day night
real
baseball.
one for you. You're going to like right now. Just popped in. Yankees first 5 only, not game. Yankees first 5.
Well, yeah, the
Yankees
bullpen
first
has
5
been
just got
struggling.
bet. So that's
Okay.
definitely a starting pitcher bet. Because if you look at the game line, it's
So they
actually
like
moved
Rodon
against the
today, which is
Yankees a little bit.
interesting. Rodon just came off of, I'm pretty sure Rodon just came off of one of his worst starts of the season, which wasn't surprising. And Frankie Montas sucks. So, no, he gave up 2 runs, Rodon, in Toronto. But aside for that, he's had a somewhat decent season. So
They're
against
just
the
not
Mets,
winning
he gave up
for him. They're
1
not
run
putting up
last
runs for him. Like they've lost 4 of the last 5 games he's pitched. And in only one of those games did he give up more than 3 earned runs. You know what I mean? He's giving them 5 or 6 innings every time.
Gary
They're
Bader,
just not
that's
able
why
to
we
put up
said
runs for the guy.
it's not full game. It's Yankees first 5 as the play.
Yep.
And the Yankees yesterday, losing that game was absolutely absurd. But Aaron Judge should have a good game today. I actually like his over. What did I give out? I gave out in the newsletter. I think his 1.5. Let me just double check the exact play that I said in the newsletter. It was the over 1.5 total base. Nope, hits, runs, and RBI -105. Great market for props, by the way, is the hits, runs, and RBI market. So over 1.5, he's gone over it in 3 games that he's played at Citi Field, all of them, and he's also gone over in 7 of his last 10 road games. So something to just look at for Aaron Judge today. And if he does well, usually the Yankees do well. Yanni, we've got WNBA action tonight too. 2 different games on the slate. Anything in the W?
Minnesota and under. I saw Minnesota at any 9s. I saw 9 get picked off on Minnesota. And wait, is that Minnesota? Oh, yeah, I'm seeing Summer League. I'm like, wait, where did that go? Yeah, Minnesota, any 9s got picked off and under. The under moved a little bit. You could still probably find 55.5, 55. I wouldn't go lower than that because they stopped at like 156.5, 56. Now I've even seen 54.5s out there. But if you could have any road 55.5s or better, I think the under's good there. And Minnesota minus the 9. That probably will get to 10 before tip off. But nothing really big sticking out.
Okay. Because Sean Michael asked if you like the Sparks plus 5.5 against the Fever.
Sparks plus the 5.5. No, I don't really. I don't have an opinion on that game at all. What I can tell them is that a decent 2-way action from the betting public. That's why that line it moved off the opener of 6.5, like 7 actually. So you saw some sharp money take the plus. So you're on the side of the sharper bettors, but they took the opener at like plus 7. When it went to like 5.5 or even 6s out there, they weren't really the guys picking them off. I think it's even some public money that are on the Sparks today. So the books will definitely want Indiana because it seems like sharp bettors that took the 7, and then the recreational bettors are taking the 6 and the 5.5s even. So it's kind of like the books versus the bettors in that game. So you're on the sharp side if you're on Indiana. on LA, but definitely one-sided action, both public and sharps on the same side.
And no UFC, right?
No,
UFC
no
not till
UFC
July
today. No
12th.
UFC.
Right, UFC July 12th. So we do have soccer and Wimbledon, two sports that aren't getting probably much attention from the public here in America. However, I know soccer is always huge internationally. And then Wimbledon too. There's a lot of places to find edges. I know that Pam Maldonado came on the Prop Queen pod, went 2-0 in her plays. Have you guys been getting any action on any of that stuff?
Yeah, we did in the first round, like the first day, second day. We fired it. We lost. We bet 3 dogs. All 3 dogs didn't get the money. I think I only used 1 for subscribers, maybe 2. But it hasn't been one of those tournaments where they had a lot of matchups. And again, I tell you when I win, I tell you when I lose. I let you know when these guys are running hot, when they're not running hot. Tennis has been one of those sports where historically has been money. I love when I see tennis plays, but so far nothing has been doing really well in Wimbledon. And the only play I saw today in the account so far was it's an early game. I think it goes off in like 10 minutes. It's Marin Cilic, Cilic over Moonar. They laid like -165 and -170 on the favorite there.
Yeah, Cilic just had the major upset in the last round, so it makes sense to be fading him this time around.
Yeah, 82-01. So
I know that USA is playing Mexico in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, and you've got USA at +108, slight dog to Mexico -126 to lift the cup. There's also the tie at 2-1. So any action there on USA Mexico, since I'm sure USA will be publicly bet here.
That's what happened. That you nailed it. You didn't even have to look. There's like very, very low volume. Like the book I'm looking at right now, they probably have about 1,400 public accounts. Not many of them will be betting this game, but the like 6 bettors that did, they all have the US. They all have the
Shocker.
US. So yeah, you can't blame it. They're cheering them in for 4th of July weekend.
Well, I guess for America, they think that the USA will come through. Yanni, what are you promoting today?
Baseball. I'll have at least 2 4% plays in there for you in the baseball. I already gave out the 3 NBA plays. Hopefully we get some more summer league. Historically, those have done really good. I love those smaller markets, but just not a lot of time. Like they're time sensitive plays, so you have to fire. You can't wait too long because there's just not enough volume from recreational bettors to offset the sharp action. And because of that, books are forced to move that line pretty quickly. So you got to be quick and have your outs ready to go. But those usually do well. So hoping to get that. I won't have a package up because I already gave them to you guys for free. And here's what else I'll do. Any other summer league that comes in today, it'll be on my page for free. So over the next 2-3 hours while I'm still working this morning stuff and there's stuff coming in, anything that I release to subscribers in summer league will also be up at WagerTalk for free. So check that out on my page. And of course, my baseball package as well.
That's why he's the best.
Today. Best of luck.
Gianni the Greek, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Always a winner. Check him out at Greek_Gambler. Guys, the Gold Sheet, the daily stat sheet, you have to look because each edition, it's loaded by 9 a.m. Eastern time each morning. It features 2 free plays. Analysis is in there, tons of stats, info on the MLB slate. Visit wt.buzz/TGS and scroll down to the download section. Access today's complimentary Gold Sheet. Definitely go use it. Use all the tools that we have over at WagerTalk. They are super helpful, like oddslogic.com/propqueen. You see Dan posting all the odds logic screens, and that's what we're using to see how lines move throughout the day, and you could get a good feel for sharp action. Prop Queen, oddslogic.com/prop queen. Make sure to go check it out and you guys can utilize the odds screen. You guys asked about like strikeout props today. I do like Carlos Rodon under 6.5 strikeouts. He's gone under this in all 3 starts he's had against teams with low K rates against lefties. That's the Mets, who have gone under in like 60% of games. I actually have the exact number if you want before we get to Andrew. The Mets have gone under against lefties in 13 of the 20 games that they faced a lefty starter. So 13 unders, 7 overs when facing the Mets as a lefty on their K prop, averaging 4.4 strikeouts a game. 6.5 Ks, way too high for Carlos Rodon. So I would go take the under It's a bit juiced, minus 145, minus 140. But if you could still grab that, I think that it's good value. Coming up now, because I know everyone misses football. Everyone loves to talk football. I know we don't have the NFL yet. We do have the CFL. And that's why we bring on our Canadian. He's coming in from Canada. And yes, I say Canada because it's an inside joke from when I was in middle school. Andrew McInnis, thank you for hopping on a Saturday. How are you?
Good. Great to see you. And I know it's like a disappointment for people when you talk football and it's not college football or NFL. It's still football, and it gets me through the summer. So I'm happy to talk about it. And when you've got 40 handicappers just all battling over spots on the website and for videos and clicks with MLB, it's kind of refreshing to be one of 4 people doing CFL. So I'll take it, Ariel.
Thank you. And I don't know why Shawn Michaels said, isn't it McInnis, not McKinnon? I didn't say McKinnon. I don't even know why I would never say McKinnon. I don't know. Maybe I did by accident. But
You
it's
got
McInnis.
it. You got it.
Thanks.
We're good.
I know it's Andrew McInnis. Okay. Anyway, sometimes Shawn Michael throws me off my game. Let's talk some CFL. I was so pumped because I saw in the chat that you wrote that you have a prop.
Yes.
What is it?
Yeah, it's awesome. So for years, I was hesitant to give out props, whether it be on WagerTalk or X or Instagram or wherever with CFL, because first of all, every book was way different with how they graded everything, or not graded thing, how they posted their numbers. And you just don't want to be giving out props where one book has a guy at 66 rushing yards, one book has a guy at 58. I mean, that's just a massive difference. But most books offer props now. Most of the time, it's relatively the same number here. And this is one of those ones where we're just going to look at kind of fading a player against an opponent's strength. And the BC Lions have been horrid against the run, but they've been really good against the pass. The best passing defense in the league. So we're going to take a look at the best receiver statistically on the Montreal Alouettes, under 68.5 receiving yards. That's Tyson Philpott, under 68.5 receiving yards. The only game that he has gone over this number so far this season has been against the Edmonton Elks. And I will tell you, nobody has trouble going over any yardage numbers when they're playing against the Edmonton Elks. So it doesn't really matter when you look at them. We got 48, 42, 96, and 41. In that game against Edmonton, he had 4 receptions, 96 yards, and his average reception was 12 yards. So sometimes when you look at a player's numbers, you can be a little bit overwhelmed by, oh, well, that one game he looked really good. Well, that one game was against the worst defense and just overall the worst team in the whole league. So, Montreal very well could have a good day today, but their offense is so deep. They have so many weapons, both on the ground and in the air, that I think Tyson Philpott will go under 68.5 receiving yards.
I love it. I love a prop under. I love in a niche market. Andrew McInnis, you rock. You know that you had to give me a prop. I know that you also have a team total. So for the people that don't like to bet unders because they're sadistic, you do like an over. What is it?
Well, this year in the CFL, every team that has won has hit their team total. Every team that has won so far has covered the point spread. Sounds pretty easy, right? We're here in week 5. You pick the winner. That means you picked the point spread winner. You pick the point spread winner. That means you pick the team total winner. So you guys can use that for what it is as far as this play here. But I'm looking at Ottawa, the current number, over 27.5 points, plus 104. You love getting that little. I could have laid a little chalk with the 26.5. We'll take over 27.5, plus 104. I love these team total bets. This is an Edmonton team that I just talked about already when I talked about the previous prop play. Edmonton has surrendered on average 35 points per game. And Ariel, when you look at teams and the quarterback situation, handicapping based on injuries, I know in a lot of sports you want to bet on a team maybe when their starting quarterback's not there because of the value. There's maybe 1 or 2 teams you can do that with in the CFL. Winnipeg, we cashed a ticket with them in the first week of the season when their backup quarterback had to start. But the problem with the CFL, and I'm a huge advocate for the league, when you go from QB1 to QB2, or especially QB2 to QB3, there is a massive, massive drop-off. So Ottawa looked really good in week 1. Their quarterback put up 400 yards, and then he got injured. Because in the preview at WagerTalk.com, I said this Ottawa offensive line might not let their quarterback make it to week 6. Well, he didn't even make it out of the third quarter of week 1, but he is back. He is making his return tomorrow night on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Drew Brown, and I think he will lead his team to success. But it's going to be a ton of points. So forget about worrying about Ottawa winning, although I do think they will win. We'll just bet the team total over 27.5. No matter who Edmonton has played so far this season, they've given up a ton of points. It hasn't even been their offense, and that's what makes me laugh. The media keeps talking about Edmonton's quarterback and the receivers and all their players on the offensive side of the ball. The real problem is, doesn't matter who the quarterback is for Edmonton if they can't get a stop. So let's get some points in that one. And I got a big 5% play going tonight in the CFL. It's a side bet. Really like this one here. Really like the spot play. Sets up perfectly for us. And long-term, up 50 units on CFL 5% plays. Been really selective. And, I think back to a couple years ago where I had a really bad down year in the CFL. And even in that down year, I crushed the 5% plays. So very selective with these. We do well with the big plays and we step out. And if you guys are ready for a big weekend, a big night, we got no UFC. Hey, I got a play for you in the CFL, 5% big bet.
What time is this at, Andrew?
7 p.m. Eastern.
There you go, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want some football action, you got it up there in Canada. Andrew McInnis, thank you as always for coming on here on a Saturday. And I know you said what you're promoting, so is there anything else left or you got it all?
Well, I believe we still have some time for that 4th of July special. I think that there's still a couple days left of that. So it's a really good deal, $69 for a full week. And I was honored to make the graphic as a Canadian on here. So I gotta love that. Shout out to the team at WagerTalk there. So yeah, 4th of July special.
Hey, it was Canada Day.
Yeah, recently. Exactly, on the 1st. So I'm happy to get included since there was no graphic for Canada Day. $69, all CFL plays, the occasional MLB plays as well, and anything else that I throw out there. Obviously, 5% plays, they're $35. So $35 in this 1 week is $69. You guys do the math. You know what's best for you. Hopefully you guys join me tonight. Let's have a great day.
Andrew McInnis, thank you as always. We appreciate you. Good luck tonight. For the people that want some football action, go ahead. It starts 7 p.m. Eastern time for McInnis's plays. Coming up now, we're going to talk some NFL. So if you want some American football, now that the 4th of July is over, you want to start handicapping, you know that this guy, Teddy Covers, has been covering the NFL for the last few weeks. He's talking win totals. He's got you covered on all things futures. And like Shawn Michaels said, we've got an NFL game in 24 days. It's time to bring on Teddy Covers. Thanks for coming on.
Great to be here. How's Rockland today?
Hi, it's great. It's beautiful. The weather's been awesome. The weather apparently in Florida for Kelly, it was terrible. So I was laughing because Kelly told me that New York sucks. And she says Florida's the best. And don't get me wrong, I love Florida. I just was laughing that her karma hit her on her favorite holiday, the 4th of July, that she got rain and we got 85 and sunny.
Perfect.
Thank you. What have you been up to? Did you have a good 4th of July?
Sure. It's it's 100 every day here in Vegas, so it's not like you're the weather changed a whole lot in the summertime. It's hot and it's a great time.
What does Teddy Covers eat on the 4th of July?
I had a burger. I had burgers yesterday.
Okay. You're a burger over hot dog guy.
Yeah, it's just that's what the wife made me to fire up on the grill. So I thought it was burgers, not hot dogs.
Well, let's get into some NFL action because I know it's something that you've really been focusing on, Teddy. What could the people expect and what have you been doing so far here at WagerTalk for the NFL?
So my NFL win report came out on Wednesday. So it is basically hot off the presses right now. It's $199 for those of you who want to buy it separate. You can use promo code NFL100, take $100 off my full NFL season and get this report for free. Absolutely free right now on my page, www.buzz/TC. This is something I've been in Las Vegas since 1998. I started doing win reports in 2001 was the first year that I released a win report. And in that time, 103 and 52, 66%. Over a 24-year sample size. And you talk about locking up your money long-term. You don't want to do it unless you have a darn good reason to. I think 103 and 52 is a pretty darn good reason. And I have chosen to lock my money up year after year, long term. The big ticket's been even better. 66% counting every play. The 5%, 17 and 4, 81% last year. The New Orleans Saints under were my 5%. And obviously they got there. Rough start. They started 2-0 and looked like the best team in football, and then proceeded to win only 3 games the rest of the season. So the clients and I cashed with New Orleans with room to spare on that 5% big ticket. And the report, when you said it was a few weeks, I've been working on this basically since about Memorial Day. After the draft, you start to sit down. I start to sit down and start looking at teams. And Memorial Day, you start really taking down notes and getting ready. So it's been about 6 weeks worth of prep. That's my standard for the NFL Win Report. And it's up and available right now on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC.
For anyone that has any questions for Teddy about the NFL Win Report or NFL futures win totals in general, write them in the chat. We could answer them as long as Teddy's on. So get your questions in as soon as you can. Teddy, I know the Commanders are a team that you've got your eye on. What have you seen out of Washington?
Well, we have more than our eye on. We've got a bet against the Commanders, under 9.5 wins. We advise my clients to make that same bet. You get plus money right now on under 9.5 with Washington. And there's 5 basic rationales why I don't like Washington Commanders. And again, it's not like I hate this team. I think they're a 500 level team. I expect them to win 8 or 9 games. I do not expect them to win 10 or more, which is what they need to do to go over 9.5. So it starts with last year. All right. And this team went from 4-13 to 12-5 last year. And then that included 5 straight wins throughout the regular season and a couple of wins in the postseason. We look at their strength of schedule, the opposing quarterbacks, the opposing teams that they faced. Every one of those wins down the stretch came against a backup or third string quarterback. For a full season, my numbers, I don't use the mainstream numbers. I use my power rating on the week the game was played. And based on my powering number, the week the game was played, last year, the Washington Commanders played the single easiest schedule in the NFL. And when you look at what they did down the stretch, you can understand why they got that. So, yes, they were a good team last year. But, we expect regression from a team that goes from 4-13 to 12-5 one season. Natural regression. That's part one. Part two, last year they faced the easiest schedule in the NFL, period, based on my numbers. This year, they do not face the easiest schedule in the NFL. And they have all kinds of rest differential problems. They face an NFL high 3 teams coming off a bye. They face 2 other teams coming off mini bye. They won't have the rest edge this year the way they did a season ago. Something else happened last year that really stands out that is not going to repeat in 2025. Washington on 4th downs. And there's no more important play than 4th downs when it comes to winning or losing. When it comes to high leverage plays, 4th downs matter more than any other. And Washington went 20 of 23 on 4th downs last year. Off the charts, unheard of good. Literally, no team's ever had a better, ever, with that many conversions. Shouldn't say ever because all we have is this century data for 4th downs. But I don't think anyone was going for 4th downs in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s the way Washington did last year. So 20 and 23 on 4th downs. We expect some regression in that particular statistical category. Last but not least, look at the rosters. Washington is the single oldest team in the NFL. It's not close. All they did this offseason, let's sign old guys. Let's sign veteran guys. We like teams that are a little bit younger than Washington when it comes to full season numbers, not guys who have already been paid and are on the wrong side of 30. So Commanders, under 9.5 wins. It's a bet for me. It's a bet for the clients, and I'm happy to give it to you here if you're watching WagerTalk Last Call.
Yeah, I like that you're fading the public there because I know that people are going to be on them. And then Titan CT said, I see you like the Raiders versus the Pats week 1. Could you do a big game breakdown?
Let's absolutely do a big game breakdown for the Raiders and the Pats. But before I get into it, again, that promo code NFL100 is going to get you $100 off my NFL season pass. And you'll get my season win report absolutely free. You get everything that I've already released for season wins. Obviously, you get part 2 of that report. You get the entire preseason, the regular season, everything through the Super Bowl. NFL 100 at checkout will give you $100 off, and you get the win report absolutely free. I've already released a couple of plays for week 1. The only reason to bet week 1 games right now is if you think the line's going to move. And this one, there are 2.5s out there. There are 3s out there. I'm like, let's lock in at 3 right now with the Raiders +3 at New England. And there's 2 basic components to this. First, Patriots can't be laying. They can't be laying. Again, if you're laying 3, they have to win by more than a field goal. They got to win by 4 points or more in order for you to cash that bet. And the Patriots aren't that team yet. I understand they're supposed to be better this year. I expect they will be better this year. But they weren't favored in any games last year. The year before, I think they covered 1 in 5 tries. Mike Vrabel's not a favorite head coach. Mike Vrabel's covered 1 in his last 5 tries. Williams worried about winning this game, not winning it by margin. And again, 3 points can be a mountain between 2 even teams, which this is. The Raiders are certainly, their schedule is tougher than New England's. That's why their win total is lower. It's not because their power rating is a whole big different. And everything that the Raiders did this offseason, not to win a Super Bowl, they're not bottoming out. It's let's be competitive. Let's not be bottom feeders, whether it comes to Pete Carroll, whether it comes to Geno Smith, whether it comes to the free agent signings, bunch of free agent signings on defense that are win now type of moves or slight upgrade now type of moves. I think they're competitive. You talk about week 1, early start games. Well, that's when the early start games don't matter. Teams aren't in their regular season rhythm. And if they play at 10 a.m. Pacific time, it's no big deal. I think it's a tight game. I think it's a field goal game. At most, I think the Raiders are live to win. And I took the 3 with LV. And I'd advise my clients to make that same bet.
Wow. Listen, week 1, I will never forget. Last year, everyone and their mother was on the Bengals. Everyone in Survivor was on the Bengals. And I said, guys, I like the Pats. So it's funny, week 1 now, I'm going to be fading the Pats. But the Pats made me so happy last year in week 1 with the upset. I took the +6.5. And I also had them on the money line. And I was super pumped. And everyone was like, what? That's so stupid. Just because people are low on teams, it's the best time to go grab them on week 1 while the other team, like the Pats, coming in, feeling high. Looking at the chat, seeing if anyone else has anything else for the NFL. Teddy, who do you like to win the Super Bowl? Chris Dugan asked.
I never make that bet. Of all the bets to make, all right, of all the bets to make, that might be this. Not going to call anyone dumb. It is not a profitable bet. All right, not short term, not long term. If you want to have a ticket and say, I got the Super Bowl winner, and you can brag to your friends, bet all 32 teams and do that, literally. But odds to win the Super Bowl, 1 team's going to win, 31's going to lose. In July, there's 20 teams that could win the Super Bowl. I could make a realistic case for winning the Super Bowl. And you don't even get 20-1 on half of those teams. So it's not a bet that I make. I bet season wins. Season wins is a beatable market. Odds to win the Super Bowl is not. Sorry.
Teddy, how do you tell people to approach betting NFL futures when there's so much uncertainty going into training camp, especially when it comes to injuries?
So sometimes you end up on the wrong side of injury luck. Sometimes you end up on the right side of injury luck. All right, plain and simple. One of the things that I do in my handicapping for the season win report, depth is a huge factor. Saints were a 5% big ticket on the under last year because they had absolutely no quality depth. And it took 2 weeks for the team to get riddled with injuries, and that was that. They had 2 great weeks, and the rest of the season they were bottom feeders. So I pay a lot of attention to quality depth, and I'm not betting overs on teams that don't have any, and I'm not betting unders on teams that have a ton. So I guess that's the way I answer that question, is that's part of my handicap. And injuries are going to happen. They can happen in August. They can happen in September. They can happen in December. It doesn't matter. They're going to happen. You have to plan for injuries with your season-long bets. And my handicapping, I think, does that.
One more question from Sean Michael. He asked, Bears under 8.5.
So the NFC North is a really good division. All right. It really is. I like the Bears. I like the Lions. I like the Vikings. I like the Packers. I could see all 4 of those teams making the playoffs. And obviously, the team that gets hurt is the one that's going to, the injuries are going to be the one that derails one of those team seasons. But I'm not looking to fade Chicago. We believe in the new coach. We believe in the quarterback. That's a good football team. The offseason moves that they made, win now moves, not win 2-3 years from now. The offensive line should be a whole lot better. The defensive line should be a whole lot better. On paper, Chicago's a team that can contend for the playoffs. So under 8.5, it didn't make my card And again, I don't know. The Bears look pretty good. I think they're not a team I'm looking to fade right now. Of the 4 NFC North teams, the one I was most interested in a season win over was the Minnesota. I got a little bit priced out of that market. So Chicago wasn't really on that list, but I'm not looking to fade the Bears. All 4 of those teams have bet on potential.
Roger Long asked, do you expect Kansas City to bounce back after losing in the Super Bowl?
So KC under 11.5 was on my short list. Again, my short list is half the league. But those are the teams. When I'm going through my research, I start. All right, hey, this team looks pretty good. I put them on the over short list. This team looks pretty shitty. Let's put them on the under short list. And you go through division by division, and you end up with I think it was 15 out of the 32 teams were on one of the 2 lists, which means that 17 teams I thought were priced correctly, and 15 teams there was some value perhaps to go against from a season win standpoint. And the Chiefs were one of the teams that I had on the under list, and I started looking at Andy. I mean, I was familiar with Andy Reid's track record. You know how many unders Andy Reid has cashed as a head coach, in counting Philadelphia and Kansas City?
No.
Not many. You can fit them on, I think, 3 fingers. And when
we all have to be a little bit psychotic to be taking unders and fading the Chiefs.
So at some point, this is the season.
I'm all in on the Chiefs having a problem this year.
Exactly.
Like
this is
the Chargers to win the division. I think everyone's high on Denver. No one's talking about the Chargers, who have given the Chiefs a run for their money ever since Justin Herbert's come in. Harbaugh's a great head coach. And the Chiefs, they're getting older. And at some point, there's got to be a regression. And most Super Bowl runner-ups, Teddy, do end up going under their win total the next year.
All of which points towards I don't disagree with anything of that. Yes, KC's ready for some regression. Yes, Super Bowl losers are supposed to lose more, are supposed to have a down year the following season. Although last time KC lost the Super Bowl, they did not. And
neither did Tom Brady. They're pretty much the anomalies.
Exactly. And that's and again, Andy Reid's track record as a head coach, you can go back to his tenure in Philadelphia. It's extraordinary when it comes to season win totals. And when you look at KC, again, the case to be made for them for regression is, well, they lost the Super Bowl. It's not their personnel is weak.
They weren't that good last year, to be honest.
They went 11-0.
Find ways to win, but they were like the ugly Brady teams.
Yes, but last year they didn't have a single healthy receiver. All right, that receiving core this year is elite if guys are healthy. All right, Mahomes has weapons that he didn't have a year ago. The offensive line last year had some issues. This year, in theory. And we don't know. I want to watch that. This is an offensive line I want to see in August. I do. There are a handful of teams I'm really interested in taking a look. But in watching preseason games and seeing what it feels like, in terms of their pass protection and the like. But this offensive line had issues last year. They made a bunch of changes this offseason. I would expect the OL to be a little bit better in that regard. So with weapons and with protection, the defense isn't, is every bit as good, and Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the world. So it's not a slam dunk betting against KC under. The lean was there. Maybe it's on the second report, part 2 of the win report, but it did not make part 1.
Titan CT asked, any thoughts on the Dolphins?
So everyone seems to be really down on Miami right now. I'm not. I think they are priced appropriately. I think they're an 8 or 9 win team, which is exactly where they're priced. And I believe in McDaniel as a head coach. I believe in Tua as a quarterback. Very much so. Both of those guys. So for all the criticism that they've taken. I'm sorry?
You believe in Tua staying on the field? That has to go into the handicap.
It absolutely has to go in the handicap. And, I'm not going to call Tua that much more injury riddled than any other quarterback. He's played behind a really crappy offensive line, and that looks to be an issue again this year, potentially. And he's a littler guy, obviously. He's not huge, but I think Miami is lined. I think they're an 8 or 9 win team. I think they're lined appropriately. And I'm not seeing, again, teams that you want to jump on that, wow, this team's priced way off. Miami's not that team. I think they're mediocre.
I think our own Johnny Detroit wants to know what you think about the Lions.
So There's enormous urgency for the Detroit Lions this year. All right. Next year's where all the salary cap stuff's going to hit. So Detroit has a window of this year before they have to start jettisoning some of their talent. And that roster is as talented as any in football. Detroit is live to win the NFC, go to the big game, et cetera, et cetera. My biggest concern about the Lions is their coordinators. We saw it with Philadelphia. Both coordinators left. The Eagles took a step back the following year until last year when they went back up. It could well be that situation for Detroit. We're not talking about two mediocre coordinators. You know, Glenn and Johnson were instrumental in their success on the defensive and offensive side of the football, respectively. And I think losing those two guys matters for the Lions. But what's the upside for this team? The upside is Super Bowl winner. That's the type of roster Detroit has. They're capable. But will they get there? I mean, if you're a Lions fan, you know, it's been a while, namely forever. And I do worry about the coaching changes for Detroit off a season that was extraordinarily successful in every way but one.
Lions, the time is coming. All right, we've got to get to Major League Baseball. Teddy, what are you promoting today?
Season wins, man. Get it now. Again, it's $1.99 for the season win report. Or you can get it for free if you buy my full NFL season. Get every play every day from the first game of the preseason right through the Super Bowl. Promo code NFL100 at checkout will get you that $100 off. And, of course, we will be in action in Major League Baseball later. Haven't put up anything yet, but I'll expect to post shortly after I get off air.
Teddy Covers, happy 4th of July weekend. Thank you, as always, for coming on and giving us those insights into the NFL for everybody that wants to get involved in the NFL because you are itching for the season. You all know, if you follow me, that I love Major League Baseball. I love it as much as the NFL. I don't know which one to choose. Major League Baseball season, it's here. We're approaching the All-Star break. We've still got a couple weeks left. So we're going to bring on our final guest of the day. We are going to talk Major League Baseball with Steve Merril. Steve, happy 4th of July weekend.
Damn straight, Era. It's the 4th of July weekend. It is still going. I'll even flash you. I'm going to flash you.
Oh, again with the pants.
There we go.
Everyone loves the shot. Yeah.
I had to give you the crotch shot because I know you love the crotch shot. Nothing says America like
chat loves it. The chat.
Shot.
That's what they tuned in for.
But I'll tell you, it's July 5th. It's officially the start of our 250th year, if you think about it. So
Dan set the ticket at plus 110. That was actually
wow.
I would have taken that action on a plus 110.
I can't say if I was involved or not because the Cleveland Guardians might suspend me for my next start. So I won't say anything about that if I was in on that bet or not.
Hey, the difference between you and Luis Ortiz is that you're allowed to gamble and he is not, Steve. So everyone in the chat, fire it up. All the questions. I know that we did have one earlier. Dan, if you see it, let me know. I remember someone asked a baseball question already. There we go. Nats game over 10 runs. Any word on it?
So my Washington Nationals, a little bit of a blowout loss yesterday. I was at that game a year ago, July 4th. They played the Mets last year in the 11 a.m.
I did actually also do a 4th of July game at Nats Park. It was really cool.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was it the 11, the early start, the 11 a.m.? Because they've done that for a while, I think. It is pretty cool.
Absolutely. It was a blast. It was a really cool bucket list thing that I didn't even realize was something I wanted to do bucket list until it worked out.
Well, you have to let me know whenever you're going to the Nats game because I'm only a couple hours away and I usually hit a few every year. So
it was a long time ago. I wasn't allowed to gamble yet.
You weren't allowed to gamble. We
didn't know each other.
The MGM Sportsbook wasn't right at the entrance of the gate like it is now. I mean, boy,
this had to have been when I was in I used to travel to a different baseball stadium every summer with my grandparents.
Awesome.
So I went to Nats one year. I must have been a junior in high school.
They were Baltimore, or at least I know your grandparents are Ravens fans, right? So
it's my dad's side. This was my mom's side. My mom's side is the Yankees fans.
I got my Camaro towed in high school from Camden Parks. That's a story we'll tell on another show. That is a great story, by the way. The tow truck brought the car back, but that's a story for a different show when we have more time. Remind me sometime when we're running, when we need filler time, and I'll tell the Camden Yards tow truck story. Two good-looking high school girls suckered me into a parking lot and almost cost me my car. That's a true story. That's a teaser there for the next episode.
Okay.
The Nats games are awesome. You get up at like 2:00. You hang out. You get fireworks later. I believe they beat the Mets last year. They were not so fortunate yesterday. But yeah, look, their pitching staff got rocked yesterday. Obviously, the Tigers have been good offensive form here in recent weeks as well. We'll see if things happen, or the Red Sox rather, Tigers played them right before that. Always like to play the highest totals over. And this one is one of the highest totals on the board at 10. So they'd be over a pass for me in that Nats and Red Sox game at 4 o'clock Eastern.
We've also got Richard Lockhart, who says he likes the Marlins money line. Thoughts there?
Marlins money line. Marlins always a tough team to back, but they have played a little bit better recently. The Brewers, though, it's funny. I was watching the Brewers earlier this week, and I was thinking how every year they're a consistent, good team. They just absolutely do nothing come postseason. And you get that feel again here. I probably would not look to be fading Milwaukee in this one. I feel they're the better squad. 2 mediocre pitchers on the mound. Over 8.5 might be in play here. 9 is such a key number in Major League Baseball that whenever we have an over 8.5, I'm always kind of looking for a reason for an over. I don't think either pitcher is anything special in this one.
It is Shohei Ohtani's birthday today, and he's on the mound. The Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Houston Astros. The Astros ended up crushing the Dodgers yesterday, 18-1. Great pitching matchup with Framber Valdez on the mound against Ohtani. Any thoughts on the Dodgers?
Well, I do think the blowout loss is interesting because the bullpen was taxed a little bit more than normal, and you do wonder about how much they're going to let Ohtani go in these games. They're going to be extra cautious with every single time he's on the mound, and for good reason. He's such an incredible hitter. You can't risk any kind of injury, and his pitching obviously has been limited the past few seasons, didn't pitch at all last year. So that brings a little bit of an uncertain element to this game. I will say this about the Astros, though. Their offense, obviously good yesterday, 18 runs. That was on 20 hits. But keep in mind, they've put up 5 runs or more in 4 straight games. They put up 17 runs in the previous 3 games, and they did so on 37 hits. So they now have 57 hits, and they have, 45 runs the last 4 games. Over makes a lot of sense here, but once again, it's just a very difficult handicap for me with Ohtani. I just don't know what we're going to get from him. Maybe a bit of a bounce-back spot for the Dodgers. They had won 4 straight before that loss, but their offense – 7 hits or less in 4 of their last 5 games. So be a little careful. The Dodgers maybe not in as excellent current form as everybody thinks. I'd probably lean Astros here in this one just due to that offensive momentum they have right now.
We've had some other questions. Take it from a lifelong Cubs fan. When the Wrigley totals double digits, it's an over. I love to see it. The wind is blowing out, but slightly, I think I saw. Steve, any thoughts on the Rocks minus 116 from Titan CT?
Yeah, well, I mean, the only thought on the Rocks are we fading them or are we passing on the game? But, oh, no, they're playing the White Sox. One thing about the White Sox, though, Ariel, I like to look at one-run losses, especially as we get later in the season. And the White Sox have been very unfortunate in one-run games. When I checked about a week ago, they were 5-20 this year in games decided by 1 run. Now, granted, bad teams are going to lose more close games, bad bullpens, but the White Sox bullpen actually is not terrible. It's pretty much mediocre, middle of the pack statistically. So do I dare say the White Sox could be a slight play-on team here in the near future? The Rockies are definitely not a play-on team for me. And whenever a bad team in baseball is favored, we always say we don't play bad favorites. It actually works in baseball. And granted, the Rockies are about $1.15 favorite here, but I'm going to buck that and go with the White Sox here. I think they're the better team overall. Not 2 teams I've used probably at all this season, but if I had to play one of them, I'd rather get plus money with Chicago.
Do you find value with mid-bubble teams that play gritty like the Marlins, Angels on a daily basis?
I mean, it's so early in the season. I guess we're saying bubble as far as playoffs, but I don't think we can read too much into that. We're only about a little over halfway through the season. We got about 70 games to go still. As I mentioned earlier, look at current form. The betting market's priced starting pitchers heavily still, even though they only got about 5 or 6 innings. But the offensive players, for the most part, 7, 8, 9 of them are in the lineup every day. So you're getting about 80% of the same lineup every day. And that offensive momentum really does ebb and flow over 5 and 10 game cycles. And you can really just look at something as simple as hits. I mentioned how hot the Astros have been. They were hot before last night, and they broke out again. Meanwhile, some other teams like the Indians, the Guardians, who've lost 8 straight, 9 of their last 10, their offense has really struggled over the past few weeks. Looks like it might be turning the corner. Try to catch teams that are starting to heat up, or maybe teams that have been hot for a couple of games that betting markets haven't caught on to, because the overall seasonal numbers dictate dictate the lines now after 80, 90 games, including the starting pitcher numbers. So I think offensive momentum is something that can help you find winners on a daily basis.
Royals scored 9 yesterday. Juicy, but team total under 4.5 looks tempting, according to Andrew.
No, I'd like the Royals team total over today, actually. I'm going to do a free play video for this game after we get off here with our man, Dan Alexander, and I are going to produce a double video. So be sure to check out WagerTalk TV this afternoon for some free play videos. But one thing that jumped out to me, I was watching some of that Kansas City game last night. It was on MLB Network. And the Royals had, 6 runs on 7 hits in the 3rd inning already. And that is something that kind of made my short list for today. Hey, good offensive current form like we talk about. And keep in mind, Kansas City really struggled offensively middle of June on into July. Are they maybe turning the corner? They've had 10 hits or more in 2 of their last 4 games. And, I think maybe that offensive momentum is starting to turn. This is a team that had gone under 6 straight and 8 out of 11 until last night, and they won 9-3. Maybe that's the buy sign with the Royals here over the next couple of weeks.
Seattle Pirates under, Phillies first 5 under. Thoughts?
Phillies are always a tough team because offensively
They're
capable.
so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, they're capable of getting hot at any point. I'd actually probably lean Mariners' side in that game. That's the other video I'm going to do here, so I'll have a deep dive into that game. So the video I'm doing is that Pirates-Seattle game and also that Kansas City game that we just talked about against Arizona. So I'll have a deep dive there. We'll look a little bit at this Phillies game against the Reds. Reds have been a good team this year, betting-wise. Definitely flying a little bit under the radar. I haven't used them quite as much as I probably should have. And as far as the current form of these two teams, we look at Cincinnati, 23 hits, 17 runs the last 2 games at Boston, now at Philly. They've won 2 straight. They've won 3 of their last 5. Phillies, meanwhile, have been kind of alternating wins and losses for the last several weeks. They had that run against Houston, those 3 games at Houston where they scored 1 total run. Then they go to Atlanta, they score 13 on 17 hits, and then they score 2 or less in the next 2 games. So once again, that's why I'm talking about current form offensively. You don't just look at one game because any pitcher can have a bad outing. You kind of want to look at a 5 game sample. It does look like Philly is starting to trend up, though. They've had 4 runs or more now in 4 straight games, 11 runs on 24 hits the last 2 days. I kind of like the over in this one. I think maybe it's the buy side with Philly going forward. And don't say that too loud. Dan Alexander's going to get extra excited.
Sean Michael also has Guardians team total under 3.5 with the offense against Mize. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mize actually might get hit just because the current Guardian lineup, the Cleveland lineup today that's batting has over a career 300 average against Mize. But as I said earlier, Cleveland in terrible current form otherwise, 8 straight losses. This is a team that's lost 9 of their last 10 games, and it's really coincided with the offense being ice cold. So the question is, are they starting to turn the corner? I don't know. I mean, they had 4 runs a couple games ago, and they followed it up with 1 run total the last 2 games. So it'd be Detroit or pass for me on the side in that one.
I think someone asked somewhere if there's Ian Gomez. Do you do home run props at all? I don't like home run props.
I don't mess a lot with MLB props in general. One thing Tokyo Brandon, who's a very good baseball handicapper, as you know, former MLB scout, I've heard him say before, Aaron, I'm sure you have as well, is that he never plays the home run. Well, he never plays the yes home run prop. So I guess that's kind of a general question, but I assume we're talking about will they hit a home run? And Tokyo says even the best players ever, like Ohtani, are maybe 1 out of 6. I forget what the math is. And he'll get priced at 3-1, 4-1. I mean, so just the math alone doesn't work there. And I'll go back to something Teddy. I know we don't have a lot of time, but the NFL wins report stuff. Teddy was actually very correct about NFL futures and why I don't play Super Bowl. Now, over/under win totals are not the same as futures, in my opinion, because it's a 2-way bet. The problem with most future bets, including home run props, is that it's a one-way bet. It's a yes bet at plus money. Will they win the Super Bowl? Yes, plus 400. They don't let you take the no at minus 500. Some sports books do, but most don't. So as a rule of thumb, unless you're getting a 2-way market, you're probably getting screwed pretty bad on the payout. And the other thing I'll mention too about season wins in the NFL before I forget is that you talked about injuries and those concerns. The under always helps you. So in general, I always defer to the under with season wins in any sport because everything's kind of priced to how it should play out. And if you get a key injury, especially to a quarterback, it's going to definitely help the under. Whereas if you have the over, it's obviously going to hurt you a lot more.
Steve Merril, he comes on with us most of these Saturdays, talks great stuff on Major League Baseball. What are you promoting today?
I think I might be hosting next week, Ariel.
You are because
you
I
on
have
assignment
family
next
event
week?
next weekend.
There we go.
Then I think someone else, you might be hosting the last weekend of July because Hurricane Kelly is coming to New York, and I am not dumb enough to do this show on a day that Kelly is here. But yes, next weekend it will be Steve hosting here on Last Call. I have some family stuff to tend to, but anything else you got going on?
Well, first of all, I think you and Kelly should host together that day. That would be
We will be
fantastic.
hammered at Yankee Stadium by the time this show probably starts.
Then you guys can do it live from Yankee Stadium. I mean, that might break an all-time record if we promote that right. You guys could tag each other
We will
in.
be going live and doing something. I don't know what.
Tag team
but we
style.
will
Like
be
one
live.
does it, the other one rests, the other one tags the other one back in. You know, lots of
One takes a
options.
shot, the next one does the show, the next one takes a shot. Yeah, it's going to be a disaster.
Take a quick nap. The other one wakes up, does a segment. They
Kelly
take a quick
said
nap.
she has a 40% chance of making her flight on Sunday. She didn't make it last year. For anyone that's looking to handicap
Afterwards. I got you.
Sunday, yeah.
The way
we
home.
go to the game Saturday.
Got you. The way home.
Yeah.
40%.
Yeah,
Okay.
40% chance of making it.
That's a two-way market.
Steve?
So we got a yes, no. That's a two-way market. That's an acceptable bet. I will take the yes on that. She'll make the damn flight. She's a veteran. She knows how to do these things. She'll learn. Look at you.
Yes, I'm going to put the yes at plus 120.
I need to know what side you're betting on, because if you bet the no, you could definitely make sure that she does not make that flight on Sunday. That's the kind of inside information we need to have from.
No, I can't make her do anything, unfortunately. Last year, she laid in my bed and said, "Can I just stay one more day? I don't think I can make it." And I looked at her and said, "That's fine, but I work tomorrow, so you have to be out the door for the early flight." And she said, "No problem." So listen, she's got to do what she's got to do. If I can't make the girl go on, she has a fear of flying. For a girl that flies all the time, she has a fear of flying.
Oh, no. Kelly has a fear of flying.
Oh yeah, it's bad. And if I let her get on that flight hungover, I would have been getting it worse on the texting end. She was better off just sleeping more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Learn something every day. Hurricane Kelly. I for a second there, I was like, how do you know a hurricane's coming in 3 weeks? I honestly thought there was a Florida hurricane coming for a second and didn't realize it was Kelly Stewart. Las Vegas insider, Kelly Stewart. Yeah, I've got special promotion for everybody. 7 days for $69. The 4th of July celebrate, because like Ariel said, it is the 4th of July weekend. It ain't over till it's over. Look at all those pretty faces. There's even a Canadian on there, Andrew McInnis. We still let you get $69 for 7 days with the Canadians as well. But seriously, any capper you'd like, multiple uses, lock in my 7 days of MLB action, get one of these other guys and get some golf and some hockey, or there's no hockey, soccer without the sticks. Hockey without the sticks is called soccer. Lots of other sports going on. You can also make it a 7-day flex pass in which you can jump around and do a different capper every day. So once again, 7 days, all access, $69. That's an instant 30% discount off the normal rate, and there's no promo code. Now, by the way, check out my daily free plays. I've won 6 of my last 7 free plays, which are last cuts from the best bet card. So it kind of pisses me off. But the best bets are hitting over 60% this week as well. I do have a bonus free play in Major League Baseball for tonight on my page right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, along with 2 best bets, and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM.
Steve Merril, you're the best. Thanks as always for coming on here on
Thanks,
Last
Ariel.
Call Saturday. Make sure to check him out next week, hosting here on Last Call. For Scott C in the chat, you said about Summer League NBA. Gianni the Greek came on earlier on the show and gave out some Summer League sharp action. You could go back at the beginning of the show, check out our YouTube page on WagerTalk, and you could check out the beginning of the show here on Last Call. Tokyo Brandon is coming up next, so make sure to check out his show. He'll talk all things Major League Baseball, I'm sure. For me, the prop queen, Ariel Epstein, I will give you one last parting wish. Dan and I are on the East in Premier Lacrosse starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time, their all-star game. We also like the over because, well, first off, with the East, the West, very banged up. And their goalie, he is out. So that's a big problem, which is also why we are going to go with the over, because it landed 27 last year, which was obviously low. And you're seeing this total go from 33.5 to 34.5. Last year, this is an overreaction to it. The last 3 years before last season, 40 plus were scored in the Premier Lacrosse All-Star game. That's coming up at 1 p.m. You could go bet that as well. Major League Baseball, Logan Webb under 20.5 outs. This number is way too high for a team averaging 18 outs when any kind of righty faces the Athletics. Webb had 8 innings that he went last start against the A's. I never like to bet the same thing to happen twice. He's projected Webb to go about 18 outs, so I would take the under here of 20.5 outs for Logan Webb on the road. Nonetheless, way too much of an overreaction. If you got Carlos Rodon under 6.5 Ks in at the start of the show, congratulations. That number is now down to 5.5 everywhere else. So I did a nice little SGP, which you could check out on my Pick It Sports page at Ariel Epstein. I did a SGP for the Subway Series because of what Yanni said, actually. So I included something Yanni gave out to something that I liked today in the props market and combining the two for a plus 140-ish payout. So we'll see, or plus 180, plus 140. I have to go double check that. Anyway, all my plays for today on Pickin' Sports or the PropQueen.com newsletter. I gave out a bunch of props there. Going to dive into a little WNBA as well, but I got some Major League Baseball out there, of course. Last call Saturday. You guys are awesome. Everyone who tuned into the chat, like, subscribe, comment, everything of the above. Dan, behind the scenes, always crushing it. We absolutely love you. I know he just planned his honeymoon to Hawaii, so when he's gone, remind me to take a vacation because I hate anything without Dan. Just kidding. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week. Steve Merril is going to be hosting, and then I'll be back the week after that. Good luck with your bets today.